If you look at the relationship between the United States and Iran today, it is defined by open hostility. It is tempting to look at this tension and assume it is the inevitable result of a deep cultural divide or ancient religious conflicts. But if we rewind the clock to the early 1950s, we find a completely different reality. Iran was a functioning constitutional monarchy, and the Iranian public actually viewed the United States quite favorably. The origins of this modern conflict lie in a calculated dispute over the ownership and profit of Iran's natural resources. In 1951, Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh made an immensely popular legislative move. He nationalized Iran's oil reserves, aiming to keep the profits from the country's most valuable asset inside the country. This direct action immediately threatened a massive, highly profitable network of refineries and drilling operations built and controlled by the British Anglo-Armenian Oil Company. The British government retaliated by instigating a global economic boycott to starve Iran's economy. They even pitched a military intervention to U.S. President Harry Truman, but Truman refused to get involved. When Dwight D. Eisenhower took office in 1953, the British changed their tactic. They approached the new administration and reframed the situation in Iran. They argued that Mossadegh's government was unstable, creating an opening for the Soviet-backed Tudeh Communist Party to take over. By projecting Cold War fears onto a domestic dispute over oil, the British secured American support. This provided the exact justification needed to greenlight America's first covert regime change. The intelligence agencies called it Operation Ajax. Rather than launching a direct military invasion, the CIA and MI6 designed a strategy to manufacture a political crisis from the inside out. Operatives deployed a wave of covert tactics. They funded false flag operations, posing as communists to threaten religious leaders, and used the BBC Persian radio service to broadcast coded anti-Mossadegh propaganda across the country. The plot initially stumbled. On August 15th, Mossadegh intercepted the coup attempt and arrested the military officers sent to dismiss him. Panicking at the failure, the Shah of Iran immediately fled the country for Rome. Believing the threat had been neutralized, Mossadegh made a fatal miscalculation. He ordered his supporters to clear the streets and return to their normal lives. He assumed he had secured his government through standard, legal channels. But playing by the rational rules of democratic governance left Iran completely exposed to the unconventional tactics of shadow warfare. With the initial plan in ruins, the lead CIA operative on the ground refused to abort the mission. Instead, he pivoted to a desperate strategy, buying localized chaos with literal suitcases of cash. These funds were rapidly deployed to hire local street thugs and coordinate with anti-communist clergy. Within days, highly visible, violent pro-Shah riots erupted across Tehran. The military then used this manufactured street chaos as a pretext to restore order. Army units sympathetic to the Shah rolled tanks directly into the city and fired artillery shells into Mossadegh's house. The mechanical outcome was swift. Mossadegh surrendered and was placed under arrest. The democratic process was dismantled, and the Shah returned from exile to reclaim the throne. In a matter of days, a relatively small amount of untraceable intelligence funding successfully dismantled the political infrastructure of a sovereign nation. In the short term, the operation delivered massive economic and strategic spoils. Western oil consortiums quickly returned to take control of the massive Iranian refineries and the profits flowing from them. The CIA viewed the coup as a flawless, highly cost-effective success. It quickly became the agency's primary playbook for covert interventions around the world. Back in Iran, the Shah felt permanently indebted to the foreign powers that secured his throne. Over the next 26 years, he consolidated absolute dictatorial control over the country. This illusion of total authoritarian stability blinded Western intelligence agencies to the reality on the ground. They had essentially sealed shut an intense internal societal pressure cooker. This diagram illustrates how the Shah's government maintained its grip on power. They formed SAVAK, a brutal secret police force trained by the CIA, to systematically hunt, torture, and crush all forms of secular and democratic political dissent. Because every secular avenue for political expression was forcibly closed, the opposition had to find another outlet. The mosque became the only safe, structural sanctuary left for Iranians to organize against the regime. Eventually, that pressure cooker exploded. In 1979, the Islamic Revolution, led directly by the clergy, completely overthrew the Shah's government. The ultimate geopolitical result was the establishment of a fierce, anti-Western theocracy that took permanent control of the nation. By dismantling the country's democratic infrastructure for a short-term win in the oil market, the United States inadvertently cleared the path for a revolutionary theocracy to become the only viable alternative to the Shah's rule.